like you lost another one.
Let me get everything right. Peace and blessings, everyone. Thank y'all for tuning into another episode. And thank y'all for tuning into another video on news, the newsroom, never in the working service. I'm founder and CEO Henry Williams, and we are here with a exciting lesson. A lesson that I call a change of names, adding the pieces together. But I hope everybody doing well. We're gonna break into a little understanding, not too much into the scientific part of DNA, but a little history to denote a little bit of DNA, so we'll get an understanding of how the Native Americans seen themselves and how the Europeans seen them, and who are the Native Americans we see today, where they came from. Is they the same people who build cities and towns and villages all over America? Or was they newcomer recently around the same time the European came to America? So I'm gonna put this up. This map right here, so let me zoom into it more. This is a DNA map of showing different Chinese. In this gray area right here, this is desert, so you won't really find. So the Han Chinese, this Chinese Mongolia feature is found in these areas. And you can find this same DNA of these Asians, because they say that the Native Americans have Mongolian or Asian DNA. And it showed that on this map, these people is spread it in certain locations. And later on, I'm going to show you who are these people and why just a few people in America and United States carry this DNA structure from Canada all the way to Southwest. So if we go to the bottom, wait, let me zoom out. So now let's go to the next picture. So let me put this right here. So when we look at the Eskimos, they don't like to be called Eskimos. When we look at the ancestor Inuits from Alaska, we understand that they began moving east into the Arctic Canada 800 to 1,000 years ago. Archaeological reference to these early Inuits as two more Indians. However you pronounce that name, I am sorry. But we got to understand that 800 to 1,000 years. So this is AD, after death. These people move into Canada, Alaska, the Arctic, Greenland after Jesus. These people not here in the 8 BC. Not 2,000, not 20,000, not a million years. These people moved into Canada 800 to 1,000 years ago. You feel? You to track the time from Christopher Columbus discovery to that time, you realize that it's not that long. It's not that long that these people came from Asia into America. But when they came into America, they was not the first Americans. So we see that these people, the Inuit. So we're going to look into something. Let's go. This website for people who into sources, you go into factsandDetail.com. Let me see if I can move the arrow sign. There you go. FactsandDetails.com. So let's see what they say. The Eskimos, the Inuits in Russia, because you got to understand that they got Eskimos who ride reindeers, who have teepees, and they do dog sleds, and all the traditional things that the Eskimo in Canada do. It say the Eskimos in Russia and United States traditionally have a very close relationship. That means not thousands of years, but recently they had a close relationship. That means they was able to move across without no land bridge. This show that you could still move across that area without a land bridge, so there's no historical base for this land bridge because you could use boats to get across. No reason to move horses on land. They didn't have horse. They didn't have camels. They had boats. Because recently it say what? Eskimo made the 50-mile trip from United States, which is Alaska, to where Russia by sealskin boats. Every year, 3 or 4 boats will make the trip and trade fur. Reindeer, like I said earlier, reindeer. They trade fur, reindeer, skin clothing, tobacco, and winter supply. During the Cold War, interaction was forbidden. This is when they stopped interacting with their kinfolk in Russia. These people were traveling to and from every year by boat. Let's look at this. This National Geographic, so they won't show too much detail. I have to pay. National Geographic. Let's look at what National Geographic say. The earliest people in North America Arctic remain isolated from others in the region for millennium before vanishing around 700 years ago. So if it shows that you have some people coming in the land around 800 years ago, and these people who lived in this land for thousands and thousands of years just vanished, it's some new people coming in the area, warm with them, breaded them out, ran them away. A new genetics, DNA. So the study published during this time this article was made also revealed that today Inuit and Native American of the Arctic are generally distant from the regional first settlers. I'm gonna show you an article later. Please bear with me. If y'all have any comment, please comment in the YouTube live feed. I'll be able to see it, and I'm able to answer any question you have, any comment you have. If you want me to research while live on air, please drop a comment. Or if you don't, please share it to get more people interact with it. We just seen National Geographic just showed that the Native Americans and the Inuits, who is the Eskimo, who came around 700 years ago, 800 years ago, was not the people in that land. They was distant from it. Their DNA showed no connection. So now we're gonna go to the next. Okay. So I was able to grab more. Okay, it's a Inuits, who is the Eskimo. Hunters in Canadian Arctic had long told story about a mysterious ancient people known as the Tunic, who once inherited the far north. Tunic men, they recall, possessed powerful magic and was strong enough to crush necks of a warrior and single-handedly held the mass carcass home over the ice. Oh, that sounds like a black person right there. An ancient black person to me. An ancient, strong, melanated person. Because these people saying, hey, we were new to this area. We hunters and gatherers and nomads. We came here, I already had people here. They had powerful magic. They were strong. In their tradition, they say this is not our home. See, they are native when they was born here, became native, but they are not the original people. In their own tradition, they say we are not the original people. Copper tools. We have copper spears. This don't look like no Native American tools that we see. These spears look like it could be part of South America or Africa or the old world. This look like a tray to scoop stuff. This look like a hoe or war weapon. This look like war weapon used on shooting needles. But it show you what it is: a copper knife, a spearhead, or a spade made from copper, mined by Native American in Wisconsin, 3,000 to 1,000 BC before Christ. So we know this is not the Native American. These some other people, because the Native Americans in the Eskimos say we just came here around 100 years. We know our past. We young enough in this land to remember our tradition that we not from around here. We not the first people here. And these first people right here created strong civilizations. Okay, so now we're going to look at one of the people we have here, the Chickapoot. People are like, oh man, these Native Americans did not move or anything. When I say they migrated from Canada in the upper region to the south, look, it's a Chickapow. The Chickapow migrated to or developed as a people in a large territory along the Southern River in the area of modern day Indiana. These people migrated. They migrated and developed there. And what it say? Where they was located at the time of first contact with European in the 1600s. For the Europeans to know that these people migrated to this area where they had first contact, they know that they came to this area. This not their home area. They was able to tell the European, we migrating here. We not new to here. These are the people who moved into the Wisconsin, Indiana area, and they did not have no knowledge of the copper, what to use the copper for, what to create things with the copper for, because they not the original people. Let's see if any other Native Americans are migrants. You feel migrant? Okay. There's more information about that area. So it say, let me zoom out. I want y'all to see. By the time the first European explorer arrived, the area was the home of the Chippewa people who did not mine copper. These the other natives in the area. They did not mine copper. According to the Chippewa, if I'm pronouncing these names wrong, I am sorry. I love y'all. I am sorry. They was much earlier supplanted the original miners. They tell you in their tradition, we supplanted the original people. We ran them out. We moved them. They moved. We supplanted them. We took their women. We took their civilization, but we did not have the technology that they had. They themselves said we came and we moved people. We migrated. Why is that important? Let me put my face on the screen for y'all to see. Hello, how y'all doing? Y'all didn't see my face earlier. So this article right here, what I'm about to show you, is why it matters. Why it really matters the most. Because this is about to flip your head on the DNA spectrum, and also how and why would you not find a lot of Native Americans in African American blood? When most of these major research laboratories like 21andMe, Ancestry.com do blood tests on African American, one, you got to realize that once you send your test sample to these people, if you read the fine print, they keep your DNA sample and use for medicine purposes. Third party get to use your DNA for as long as they can. You sign over that right. Secondly, if you got some migration, moved into the land, and then these people telling you, man, we replace the original habitat, and it was very recent. And then you have some new immigrants, the colonizer, the Europeans. And what did the European done to the original inhabitants of the land? Let's go. I'm gonna put it right here. Keep my face down so y'all can see me. So let's zoom in more. I want y'all to see big letter, big letter. Okay, this too big. So now we gonna come up here. Why I put red over some and red not over months, because we're gonna see live from the truth. This say right here, this is from Wikipedia. It say the exact numbers of Native Americans who was enslaved is unknown because available statistic and census report was at best inferior. Man, you can see that they telling you that, man, the amount of Native Americans that we put in slavery. They don't tell you this in school. They don't tell you. They say, oh, we enslaved the Native American, but they was dying and sick. But they don't tell you that, hey, it was still going on. We don't remember the numbers. But you have this person who try to come in here and say, oh, we estimated to be this amount of thousand, this amount of thousand. Man, that's just a city. It's just a town. It's just a region. Y'all was enslaving Native Americans for years. So I'm gonna believe what's in the red say it's unknown. You don't know, and you're gonna make numbers up. That's what I'm gonna say. You don't know the exact amount of numbers of Native American you enslaved. So anything you say, you made it up. When you say that they enslaved 2.5 million to 5.5 million native, you are lying with the numbers. So now let's go into some real red factors. Even though the records became more reliable today, in our time, we need to realize this. What they are telling us right here. Before we really start setting up colonies and stuff, because we had the Spain, we had free lands of pirate, we had pirates, we had the Spanish, we had French. Before we even start really functioning as a colony on the world stage, what was going on? Even though record became more reliable in the later colonial period, Native American slaves received little to no mention. They do not mention it in the book. This is right here in Wikipedia. They telling you they don't mention them. What do? Or they was classed with African slave with no distinguish. How one of them white, Asian looking, Indian get to mix with African and you cannot tell the difference? Why they don't tell you that they was Native American slave on a plantation with African slaves? They mainly tell you African overpowered, African took the trade. America not that old. And around the time America really became powerful when is around the time that the steamboat, when they was able to go and get slaves. Oh, we got a brother in the house. He say, right. Or this is, wait, sister, I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm sorry. It say, oh, peace. Is everyone here from the Americans? How you doing? Thank you for coming through. So now we have here that it say these Native Americans was classed with African slave with no distinguish. You can't tell them apart. You can't tell these Negroes apart. They don't look like the Native Americans they show us in pictures, because they telling us right here that they would label them with the Africans. Or did they label all of them Africans because they look like the Africans that was overseas and they just call them it? You got, for example, they not just talking about it, they'll show you a case where her master listed this woman, Sarah, princess. You say this princess from Rhode Island, her master lists her as mulatto, a name that you give black people in a bill of sale. But she won her freedom because she remembered. That's why they were shipping them down the river. They were shipping them down the river because you don't remember your homeland. It's hard to get back to your homeland. the pictures that they show of Native American look like, oh yeah, Samoan and Mongolians. Fact. So now, remember the map that I showed at the beginning. This is the same people as the Navajo. You could say Navajo, Apache, the Navajo Apache. This is where they came from. They came from Canada. This is their blood lineage. They came from a big group of people, a big group of talking people from Canada. They migrated. They passed all this territory, and they migrated all the way to the south. See, this their language group. They could tell by their language group who they are, what family they are. So now let's look at what the Apache say. We looking at the Navajo and the Apache, not a hoe, asshole. Just playing. I'm sorry. So, okay, at some point in prehistory, they're mainly saying before American history, before they start putting in books. That's all they saying. Prehistory. That don't mean thousands, millions, billions of years ago. It means just before they start putting it in books, before they start recognizing it. The Navajo and the Apache migrated. Here we go. Some more migrants. We have the European migrators. We have these newcomers migrated to the Southwest from Canada. These people was, how do they know this? Because of their speaking. The Athabascan speaking people still live mostly in Canada, although the exact timing of the relocation is unknown. They don't know exactly when they start migrating fully down to the south, but they know one main thing. It is thought to have been between 1100 and the 1500 CE. Let's not get confused on what CE means. CE means current era. That means 1500 AD. 1500. People got to realize in the 1400, Christopher Columbus landed in America. That means the Spanish was able to have record and know that these people just migrated in the area. This is the Navajo and the Apache history. We see that we got the Chickapow, and we have other Native American got history of migrating to this land. They are not the aboriginal of this land. Yes, they could be native. White people could be native. Everybody could be native to this land. But is they aboriginals? Is they the original people who built temples, built towns, built mounds? No, they are not. They are migrants because they tell you themselves. Here we go, another Native American tribe. Let's look at it. So these people say, hey, see, this when they start mixing up names. That's why I said with the names, the changing of names. Here we got, it's a people, these people are a Native American tribe and the indigenous people of the Great Plains of America. And then they come and tell you that they migrated. How are you going to say, okay, they native, then you turn around and say they indigenous, and then you turn around and say they migrated? So it say they migrated southwest from West Montana. That means they started in Montana in Canada. Montana is on the border of Canada. They came from the north. And then they moved into the Rocky Mountains, into Colorado. When? In history, the 17th century is when? 17th century is 1601 to 1700. 18th century is 1701 to 1800. the European was here in America to witness these people leaving Montana and Canada and moving into Colorado, where they got pushed into Oklahoma. These are migrating people. So now let's look more into this. This is going to verify that the Navajo is not native. They are nomadic people. Okay, so let me make sure. I want you, the people, get to see this. I don't need to see this. I already seen this. I want y'all to see it. It say archaeologically and historical evidence suggests that the Apache, this they're speaking the Athabascans, I don't want to mess up their name, but the Apache and the Navajo invaded. Look, they invaded the Southwest around 1400 AD. This after Jesus Christ. They invaded the area. That means to invade it. Okay, it's one thing to migrate in an area and settle and become the first people in that area. But when somebody write invade, that means it had some people in that area and you attacked them and you took the land from them. So you invaded the area around 14 AD, 1400 AD. Got to remember, Christopher Columbus came around the 14 AD. After death, CE, current area. The Navajo oral tradition, even in their description of their tradition, they retain reference to their migration. They know they migrated. It's a big history. It's like the Hebrews remembering Exodus. If that's real or fake, I'm not trying to get too much into that. But these people remember their migration. We not from here. Initially, the Navajo was largely hunters and gatherers because they moved around. They hunt food and gather the food, berries, herbs, and honey, whatever in the wild. These people came from Canada. So cold, snowy weather, they had to forage for what they needed. Initially, the Navajo was largely hunters and gatherers. Later, they learned farming from the who? The Pueblo people. Pueblo people. These are the people who was in the area. And what they did, they taught them how to grow Pueblo Indian traditional food. Not Navajo traditional food because Navajo don't have no food because they are not native to this area. The three sisters, corn, bean, and squash, they adopted sheep and goats. That's when sheep and goats when the Spanish came, the Navajo adopted. But these people was hunters and gatherers, savages and scavengers. They did not have the towns and city because towns and city mean you got to stay still and agriculture, corn, beans, and squash. The Navajo was wandering people who migrated to the area. So now, I won't be long here. So let me jump into this next email and then we're gonna finish up for here. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in, especially the people who coming into the YouTube, then just on Facebook. Thank y'all for coming in. So now I'm gonna close this screen. Let me close it. Stop sharing. Go into my email. Change email. Part 2. Bear with me. Now, okay, we got this open. Present. Share screen. How did the Native Americans show themselves? How did they look? Who are they? Do they look like the Native American today? Look at this. That look like a black dude scratching his private part. I know a lot of black men, and myself. Yeah, we lay down, relax, our hand find itself into our pants. Somebody scratching. Just a little joke. Just a little joke. Don't destroy me. Look at these people. Any sign of hair? Yes. In the corner, the hair look like dreadlocks. I do not see no Mexican with natural hair that if you push that hair down, it's more European. There's no dreadlocks. These hair, their natural hair do not make no proportion, don't make no image of this. And this melanated skin, we do not see this in the present day. So I'm gonna say this. If the Spanish came over and amalgamated, that means had sex with all the Native Americans and turned all the Native Americans into pale people, except for the Native Americans in the jungle. How do the Native Americans in the jungle of South America do not look like these melanated people? Nobody could show me pictures of the indigenous, the Native American in Mexico, the Native Americans in South America that they label these things and gave these people these names look like the old ancient people of the Mayans, the Olmec. Look at these people. Why? Look. This is the real picture. See that go that hand down now. Look. This is the real picture. This is black. This is a black melanated person with dreadlocks. Why none of these people today, if these white European was able to turn these melanated people into white, why they couldn't turn all the Africans that they brought over here into white people? What happened to the Native American slaves that they added and called Africans? But look at some more pictures. This the temple. What y'all don't notice is these people got horns. They got old world horns. How did the horn wind up find itself from Africa, Europe, and Asia? You could find horns. Here in America, musical object. You find copper tips, spears. You find copper spears. You find horns. And what else you find? You find these black people. Look, why do these Native Americans don't look like the Native Americans of today? Why? Let's go deeper because these are the original pictures. This is not something that somebody scanned into a cartoon or make a post just to sell. This is the real archaeological. Look, this person got a fan. Look at this dark face on top of the head. That look like a Negro. Look at him. Yes, we know it got people in India with dark features in India who got good hair and dark. But how did the European erase all the dark people here in America? We see this dark man on a wall. How did the European was able to erase this and turn everybody white and pale? Look, they have fans. We got fans in the old world, the Egyptians. We got horns. They have fans. I don't see no light-skinned people. I see all melanated, dark-skinned people. Nobody on this picture look like a Chinese. None of these people on this picture look Mongolian. This is what they don't want to tell you. This is what they don't talk about. None of these people look Mongolian. But the people who do look Mongolian could trace their history, and they could tell you we migrated to this place around the 1400 CE, AD, after Jesus. When the European came here, we arrived. Oh, let's look at this. We cannot see the picture that well, but we can see in the corner. Look at this dark person. Dark. This person black. This person. What? Show me a Mexican. Show me a Honduran. Show me them Native Americans that's up in the jungle, that's up in the Amazon. Show me a dark-skinned Amazon that look like the people on the wall. Black man, dark brown, dark brown, dark brown, black, black. All these black people, all these melanated people. What happened to them? If the European raped all these melanated women and created white people, why was not they able to do that to their own slave population? Why they couldn't do that to their own slave population? When you see these Native Americans as melanated, these original people of the land was darker than average. This is what we dealing with. What happened to these people? They had horns. They had spears. See, they got spears. You can see the stick going way to the top. These are spears. They got shields. They got spears. They could use the copper. These melanated people could, but the Native Americans who came later, look at this melanated person. I don't see no Mexican that look just like this. Except for ones who say they mix with African. What happened to the dreadlocks? What happened to dreadlocks? These people got hair. You can see their hair. They separated into individual dreadlocks. You don't see no smooth European type hairstyle. You can see dark skin tone, black skin tone. But you don't see none of them pale skin. You don't see no red skin. You don't see no pale skin. You see black people with black hair, black culture, black society. But let me close this off, remove our screen, go back to an article that I showed earlier. Okay, here you go. I'm gonna show for the people who just jumping on who didn't see earlier. Let me show you this. This is gonna verify my point that I'm making. If you say this is a lie, that means Wikipedia contradicts itself, and Wikipedia don't have no good evidence. Wikipedia is a lie. If you say what I'm showing you is a lie, let's get to it. It say even though records became more reliable in the later colonial period, Native American slaves received little to no mention. They don't mention these people. Why? Because most of the names now they saying Africans, 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 African. We got these Africans. They calling these people Africans. That's why. But let's not, okay. If you don't believe they was calling them Africans or Negro, they was calling them Negroes and people of color, and that is records, that is facts. That they was calling them Negroes and people of color. So now, and then they're gonna have some more facts. Native American slavery received little to no attention. They did not want to put that in the history book. That they came into this land and enslaved the first people in this land. That they not the first people. Or they was classed with African slave with no distinguish. This is Wikipedia. It's telling you right here. You don't get no mention of Native American slave because we labeled them, we classed them with African slaves with no distinguish. These were some black Negroes. These were some Negroes that looked just like African. These were some black people that looked just like African. We're going to label them, we're going to class them as African slave with no distinguish. We will not mention Native American slave. Or if you do hear of it, you will receive little to no mention of the Native American slaves. They telling you in your face. But some people believe in pride and ego that if this is a lie, that means Wikipedia is a lie and Wikipedia don't have no good information. But this telling you right here, what it telling you? The exact number. So when somebody say, oh, Native American died off. Native American died off. How is that possible when they don't even know the exact number of Native American that they enslaved? They don't know. Even when they say, oh, it was around 2.5 million to 5.5 million. You don't know that. They don't even know that. That is just an estimate that they made up. If they was enslaving Native American from when Christopher Columbus came to this land, the Spanish, then the Portuguese, then the English, then the Dutch, then the French, then the German, all these people came over and started enslaving natives on their own pace. The exact numbers between each and every one of these colonies and people who did not report to the colonist government, they do not know how many Native Americans were slaves. Even though when the records start becoming good, what did they tell you? Native American slaves received little to no mention. The slavery of Native American received little to no mention. Why? Because they was classed with African slaves with no distinguish. These people was black. These people was melanin because they don't have no distinguish. They don't look like the other Native Americans. The Native American they enslaved looked it just like Africans. They was labeling them as Africans. You got it right here. This is a Wikipedia article. If you say this is not true, you are saying everything in Wikipedia is a lie. I mean, you could never come to me with anything from Wikipedia because if one article is wrong, that means many other articles is wrong and they need to go ahead and go back into their database and fix the error. But in this right here, it is telling you that Native American was labeled as African and they received little to no mention as being slaves in Native Americans. But this the trickery that they would tell you. They say, oh, before before the European came, these Native Americans was enslaving other Native Americans. But when the European came, they start selling Native Americans to the European. So you have Europeans who came to America and say, hey, we're going to give these Cherokee Africans while they giving us Native American slaves. Where they do that at? No, that's not it. That's not how it went. Native American was enslaving Native American. Native American was selling Native Americans to Europeans. So if you got Native Americans coming from Canada who look white and look Asian, coming into a melanated area with melanated Native American, the original Native American, and they came and war broke out. These new nomadic people start fighting the ones who had homes, the one who had buildings, and start enslaving these people. And when the European came, they start selling these slaves to the Europeans. The Native American slaves received little to no mention, but they was classed with African slave with no distinguish. Let me go here. I don't even want to look at the words. Let's look at this picture. Can this ugly woman, excuse me, I'm sorry. Can this woman be labeled as an African? Can you look at this woman and say, hey, you a slave, you're gonna be living with the African, and we can't distinguish you from the Africans? No. What about these? Let's go. Let's go. You, people who know that you migrated to America, you migrated, you're not original from here. Can they distinguish you? Yes, we can see you look different than an African. These people look different than an African. So this people look different. This woman look different than an African. These people, and they say right here, even though records became more reliable in later colonial period, Native American slaves received little to no mention, or they was classed with African slaves. This is all I wanted to do. When I set out to start dealing with the Native American topic, I wanted to drop the numbers for people who say, "Oh, you're not a Native American. They were savages. Why would you want to claim this area?" One is that not all Native American was savages, and people got to understand the only thing different that the European had that the Native American had was technology. Technologies with ships. But all of European was still going through the dark ages. By the time Christopher Columbus came here, Europe was still going through the dark ages. Disease, famine, death, Black Plague, many other things. Ship technology and weapons. That's what made the European more inferior. Did the Aztec had knowledge? Yes, they had knowledge. They had their own language and own writing system that got erased through history. But when we see here, somebody say the Native American slave died out as if they died out the first few years. When they did COVID or the flu, vaccines, they vaccine older folks, then young folks last. So that means the old folks died off when the European came. But the younger kid and women got stronger immune system than men. So the women and the women and the children was still here, while most of the men was dying out. Why would Virginia become a slave farm? You feel? Why would you breed all these people? Because you were taking African men with Native American women and mixing them? Are you taking Native American men from South America and mixing them with the Native American here in America? So they won't have no allegiance to any tribe. They are a mixture people. We got the proof. We got it in history. That's when people start putting the pieces together. That's how I act. Look at the pieces and admit to yourself, some of this stuff don't make sense. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Africa got on boats and found America. I'm not saying that half of the African American got half Indian and half African in them. I'm not saying nothing of the sort. All I'm saying is question these things. You got to question and jump on a quest and find the answers. Somebody can say, hey, African Americans don't have no DNA of Native American. But you yourself could go back and say, I know, because the Native American that they doing DNA just came to this land recent. Then they'll come and say, oh, they came in waves. They came thousands of years ago in 3 waves. How you know that? Did they have flags and markers like, hey, we come in year 2000 BC? And then another group with a flag came like, hey, we don't know where we going, but hey, we mark, we first here. No, these are theories. But these people is telling you that, hey, we migrated to this area, it already had people here. We migrated to this area, they already had people here. We migrated to this area, we already had people here. How, when in history, when one look up the first slave trade, they go to Virginia, sometimes they say the Portuguese, sometimes they say the Dutch, sold some slaves to Virginia. When you look up at the same time, they was enslaving Native American. There was no reason to buy African slave when you was buying you was selling Native American slaves. Y'all was capturing and selling Native American slaves. And then they say it was 20 years after the colony started. 20 years after the colony started, they was at war with the native because they was Hispanic and the native was going to war with them. And then they was taking the women and the children and the men who became prisoners of war and sold as slaves. Research, and you can find everything I'm telling you is there in the history. They paint pictures and put it on walls to show, man, we some dark people. We are melanated people. They don't look nothing like them red men. They don't look nothing like them red men. And we need to destroy that lie. So I want to thank y'all for coming through, because the screen stayed with like around 3 people. Sometimes it don't show all the people that is watching. But I just want to thank everybody who did show up. I want to thank, I believe that's Empress. I want to thank her, Princess, for showing up. Thank you for showing up and showing off. Woo, 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 woo. Thank you for coming through. And thank everybody for coming through. So I'm about to go ahead and end this. I didn't want it to stay over an hour. So let's just jam out. Hit the thumbs up, everybody. Please hit the thumbs up and please share. Please share, because we is at 818. If we could get 2 more 100 people, we at 1,000. Never end the working service.